Welcome to yet another YouTube video. In this video, we are going to be talking about the learnings that we can have from the union budget of the country. No, I'm not going to be talking about the particulars or aspects of the union budget, but I'm going to be sharing instead the learnings that we can have from the budget and how to implement that in your business. This video is for young entrepreneurs, this video is for veteran entrepreneurs and for professionals who are at a senior level wanting to take business decisions. For the easy consumption, this video is divided into the following 4 parts. First, I'm going to be talking about the purpose of the budget. Second, I'm going to be talking about the role of the government in executing the budget. The third, I'm going to be talking about how the government goes about making the budget. And the fourth thing is how you can go about creating a budget for your business. So let's jump into the first one, the purpose. The purpose of the budget is to create a long-term vision for the country with short-term goals. Long-term vision could be 10 years, 20 years, 5 years, but the short-term goal is that of a year. It's a vision of where I'm going to spend, how much am I going to spend to take the country from where it is to the next level. Vision helps us consciously evaluate areas of improvement that we need to improve on, our strengths that we can really play upon, and using both of these, how do you navigate through several situations where there are many factors that are out of your control. Like in case of the country, there are lots of geopolitical factors like bankruptcy happening in your neighbor versus war happening somewhere versus recession happening somewhere. And you got to navigate all of this. You do not have direct control over. So where do you put your money and therefore be able to navigate with your strength? Understanding of your weaknesses through this is what the budget really does. Let's come to point number 2, role of the government. In a country like ours, in a democratic setup, the government does not control how we go about our livelihood. We have to go about educating ourselves and putting our learnings to practice to get our livelihoods to where we want it to be. Having said that, the role of the government is to create and give us the kind of environment we need to flourish. Same is the role of an entrepreneur, a senior leader, or a seasoned business owner. This is exactly what the government of India or government of any other democratic country would do. They would create policies. Policies are basically rules that all the citizens follow so that things become easier for them to go about. The second thing that the government do is ensure a good tax regime. That means they do not take a lot of money from what you've earned. They keep it to where it needs to be, where the balance of the development of the country as well as your pocket is taken care of. So good tax regime is kind of an incentive, the money in your hand that you can choose to save or spend on things that you wish to buy. And the third one is the expenditure planning. From all the money that you are going to pay as taxes, the government is going to spend that money. Now, where is the government going to spend that money is pre-decided with a lot of analysis, but more on this in the next point. If I have to draw a parallel of this for the business, then what should you do? Well, policies equal to processes when it comes to business. If you create good rules, good processes in your company, it becomes easier for people to work with those processes and flourish. And when they flourish, automatically the companies flourish. The second, tax regime. When it comes to businesses, it is incentives that you give them. Incentives are monies that you give to your employees for doing good work that motivates them to repeat that same good work and habits. The third thing is about expenditure planning. In business, it is about the amount of money that you invest to develop everything in your company for your company to perform better at the next level. Now, this brings us to point number 3. How does the government work on the budget? Well, the idea of the budget is to control the fiscal status. What is a fiscal status? Well, simply put, in business terms, it's profit or loss. Fiscal is made about the amount of revenue that the government makes and the amount of expenditure minus the amount of expenditure that the government makes. If the expenditure is higher than the revenue, obviously we are in fiscal deficit. These are terms that you must have heard on budget videos. You may ask me, Hardik, what are the earnings that the government has? Well, the government earns from several sources. Government earns from taxes. Government earns from the royalties that they get when companies mine the minerals that the country has. Government also earns from the government owned companies. And a term that we have all heard in the past few budgets is disinvestment, which means government also evaluates where all the government money is stuck and is not performing that well, and how can we sell it off and do disinvestment. A good example of that will be Air India sold to Tata because the government thought we are not good business people, we are good government and we shouldn't be working working on Air India as a business. So they sold it off, and the monies that they got is the revenue for the government. Government typically analyzes all of these revenue sources before making a budget, because they need to know whatever they want to spend is going to come from where, which sources. The second thing that the government does is obviously analyzes the cost. The cost is broadly divided into capital and revenue expenditures. Now, I'm not going to get into both of these and the technicalities, but I'll give you an overview. The overview is the government spends all the money, one, to run the government, which is pay salaries, maintain the infrastructure that the government has. Plus, a lot of the expenses are done on developmental projects. Developmental projects that have the potential to give them 5x return. This is where the government focuses on two things. One is to improve on things that are not good in the country. Second is to double up on things which are the strength of the company. Of the country. Say for example, if the government decides to build a bridge, the bridge is decided, the expense is made on the bridge making simply because the government believes that by doing so, the logistics is going to become smoother. The companies around that will be able to earn more, therefore, because it becomes simpler for them to transport goods. And that will mean if the companies do good, they pay more taxes, and which will mean more revenue. Now, with this intention, the government will spend and create a bridge, which is an infrastructure. This brings us to the point number 4, is how do you should go about doing budget for your company? Well, you should go with the simple formula: profit is equal to turnover minus cost. And now when you do this, you got to keep dividing, or rather get double clicking turnover and double clicking cost. Let's do a little bit of it right on this video. So turnover is made up of your number of products that you sold multiplied by the selling price. Now, you may not want to change the selling price, but the number of products that you sold, you can further double click on that, which means number of products that you sold depends upon number of people you prospected minus number of people chose to buy. Now, when I say this, number of people chose to buy, the difference, you will be able to understand whether there is an opportunity for you to increase the number of people buy simply by improving on your conversion technique, simply by improving on your sales pitch, simply by saying a few things that you weren't earlier saying. The second thing that you want to do is you want to double click on number of people prospected and go further down. You may say number of people prospected is equal to the marketing channel employed and the message that you gave on those marketing channels. So should you do social media ads, participate in export promotion councils, participate in exhibitions, go to networking sessions, which marketing channel is giving you the best bang for the buck? And then you may want to double up on that and disinvest from the other channels. You may also be able to take decisions on what product lines should you disinvest from, so that your balance sheet at the end of the next year looks fantastic. Now, all of these things, when you analyze, you will also be able to look at the cost, which is if you disinvest, then how much money will you get? And where will you invest that money to grow to the next level? Will you invest that money to buy more infrastructure, which means you'll buy a warehouse? Maybe you will buy a ERP software that kind of makes things easy. Maybe you will go about hiring an HR that makes good policies so that there are less conflicts in terms of your people, and there is good leadership because the HR guy will hire the right kind of people. What is it, and what are the areas that you will invest in? Now the question is, why should you go about doing this budget, and when should you go about doing this budget? So I will answer the later part first. You should go about doing budget the moment you realize that you need to budget. This is the appropriate and the best time to do it, because the financial year is yet to get over and you have to still get ready for the next financial year. So get your budget done right now. The second thing is, why should you go about doing budget? Well, the answer to that is fairly simple. Multiple benefits here, but I'm going to count a couple of them. The first benefit is that once you budget, you have allocated costs in several areas already, and you have given your department heads those costs and what they have to achieve by investing those costs in the areas that require attention. So if you've given a cost on expense that they can do on automating your warehouse, for example, and that should reduce the turnaround time or the dead inventory by an X percentage, they already know that. Because your people know what they have to achieve and at what price, you don't have to spend time in taking the investment decisions as and when they happen during the year. And you can focus your entire energy on figuring out the next big move that your company can take to propel to the next level. So with this, we come to an end of this video. If you like this video and if it has added value to your life, put a big fat thumbs up. If you've not subscribed to this channel, please subscribe to this channel for more videos like this. If you want to have any views, comments, or suggestions to what I just shared, please put them in the comment box and we will all learn together. So with that, I will wish you all the best. Keep learning, keep improving, keep investing in the right areas, and all you fine people, until we meet next time, keep propelling.